Jack Nicholson's life has long been the kind of Hollywood story that feels larger than fiction, filled with triumph, controversy, and revelations that seem almost impossible to believe. From his rise as one of cinema's most recognizable faces to the private struggles hidden behind the fame, his journey has never followed a straight line. At the peak of his career, he became synonymous with fearless acting, unforgettable characters, and a magnetic screen presence that few could match. Yet behind the awards and applause, there were personal truths and family mysteries that only surfaced decades later. His story is not just about success in film, but about identity, secrecy, relationships, and the complicated nature of legacy. Even in later life, as he stepped away from acting and public attention, new details and reflections continued to reshape how people understood him. His life remains a mix of brilliance, contradiction, and emotional complexity. A childhood built on hidden truths, Jack Nicholson was born in 1937 in New Jersey to a teenage mother, June Nicholson, whose circumstances at the time were already complicated and socially sensitive. Because of family pressure and concerns about reputation, a major deception was created around his upbringing. His grandmother, Ethel, and grandfather took on parental roles in a carefully maintained arrangement, while June was presented as his older sister rather than his mother. The identity of his biological father was never clearly confirmed, adding another layer of uncertainty to his origins. Growing up, Nicholson believed this version of his family structure, unaware that the truth had been deliberately concealed. His childhood was modest, shaped by working-class life and a blend of artistic influence from the household. He showed humor and charisma early on, eventually standing out in school as a witty and confident personality. The hidden family arrangement remained undisclosed for decades, forming the emotional foundation of his early life. The shocking revelation in adulthood, the truth about Nicholson's family background, did not emerge until he was already a successful Hollywood actor in his late 30s. During routine fact-checking for a magazine feature, inconsistencies in official records led researchers to question his assumed family structure. What began as a simple verification process turned into a lie, faltering discovery. Nicholson was informed that the woman he believed to be his sister was actually his mother, and that his mother had been his grandmother all along. Initially, he dismissed the claim, assuming it was a misunderstanding or error. However, further confirmation from relatives forced him to confront the reality of the situation. By the time the truth became clear, both his mother and grandmother had already passed away, leaving him without the possibility of direct answers. Despite the emotional weight of the revelation, Nicholson later described the experience as clarifying rather than devastating, noting that it reshaped how he understood his past. Early struggles and Hollywood apprenticeship before fame found him, Nicholson spent years struggling to establish himself in Hollywood, working in small roles and behind the scenes jobs just to remain close to the film industry. He initially took employment in an animation department, earning minimal wages while learning how studios functioned. During this period, he joined acting groups and began developing his craft through theater workshops and independent training. Opportunities were scarce, and casting directors often dismissed him for not fitting conventional leading man expectations. To survive professionally, he explored screenwriting and directing, expanding his creative skill set beyond acting alone. His persistence eventually led him to collaboration with independent filmmaker Roger Corman, who gave him early roles in low-budget productions. These films were not commercial hits, but they provided him with invaluable experience and visibility. The years were defined by uncertainty, financial instability, and repeated rejection, yet they also built the foundation for his later breakthrough in cinema. Breakthrough with independent cinema success, Nicholson's career began to shift when he appeared in independent films that gradually gained attention within Hollywood circles. His collaboration with Roger Corman played a key role in this transition, offering him opportunities to act in unconventional and experimental projects. Although these films were modest in scale, they allowed Nicholson to develop a distinct screen style marked by intensity, unpredictability, and emotional depth. His breakthrough came when he became involved in a low-budget road film that unexpectedly turned into a cultural phenomenon. Initially working behind the scenes as a creative contributor, he stepped into a supporting acting role after another actor dropped out. The film's success far exceeded expectations, becoming a major financial hit and earning critical acclaim. Nicholson's performance stood out as natural, rebellious, and deeply engaging, earning him his first major award nomination. This moment marked his transformation from struggling actor to emerging Hollywood star almost overnight. Rising stardom and defining performances following his breakthrough, Nicholson quickly became one of the most talked-about actors in American cinema. His role in a critically acclaimed drama about personal identity and emotional conflict solidified his reputation as a serious performer. The film featured one of his most memorable scenes in a simple diner, where his understated yet powerful acting captured widespread attention. Critics praised his ability to portray characters who were complex, flawed, and deeply human. This period established him as part of a new generation of actors redefining Hollywood storytelling. He received major award nominations and began to be compared with legendary figures of earlier film eras. His performances consistently balanced intensity with subtle humor, creating characters that felt unpredictable yet authentic. As his reputation grew, so did his influence on the industry, with directors increasingly seeking him for challenging and unconventional roles that pushed cinematic boundaries. Critical acclaim and psychological depth on screen, Nicholson reached another major milestone when he starred in a groundbreaking psychological drama set in a mental institution. His portrayal of a rebellious patient resisting authority became one of the most celebrated performances in film history. The production used real locations and non-actors, adding authenticity and emotional weight to the story. Nicholson's performance was so convincing that it blurred the line between character and reality, leaving a lasting impression on audiences and critics alike. The film achieved extraordinary success, winning multiple major awards, including Best Actor and Best Picture. It became one of the rare films to sweep top categories in a single awards season, cementing its place in cinematic history. Nicholson's role demonstrated his ability to embody psychological complexity with remarkable depth. This achievement marked the peak of his critical recognition and established him as one of the defining actors of his generation, capable of transforming difficult material into unforgettable performances. Iconic roles and cultural impact in Hollywood. As his career continued, Nicholson delivered several performances that became deeply embedded in popular culture, including his unforgettable role in a psychological horror film set in an isolated hotel. His portrayal of a writer descending into madness became one of the most analyzed performances in film history. The intensity he brought to the role created a lasting cultural image that continues to be referenced decades later. He followed this with other major successes, including a groundbreaking performance as a comic book villain that redefined how antagonists were portrayed in blockbuster films. His negotiation for profit participation in that role became one of the most lucrative deals in entertainment history. These achievements reinforced his reputation not only as an actor, but also as a savvy industry figure. By this stage, Nicholson had become a symbol of versatility, capable of dominating both artistic cinema and commercial blockbusters with equal impact. Love, scandal, and high-profile relationships, Nicholson's personal life was as widely discussed as his film career, often attracting attention for its intensity and complexity. His only formal marriage ended after several years, but his romantic life continued to draw public fascination. He was linked to numerous relationships with actors, models, and public figures, earning a reputation for a highly active and unconventional personal lifestyle. One of his most significant relationships was with actress Angelica Huston, which lasted many years and was marked by passion, turbulence, and repeated infidelity. Their connection was emotionally deep but often unstable, eventually ending after a series of betrayals and public revelations. Huston later described the relationship as both formative and painful. Nicholson's romantic history became part of his public image, often discussed alongside his professional achievements. Despite the controversies, he remained a central figure in Hollywood social circles for decades, admired for his charisma even amid personal turmoil. Complex family life and multiple children, Nicholson's family life was equally complicated, involving several children from different relationships and varying degrees of connection. He has multiple children, though his relationships with them differ significantly depending on circumstance and history. His eldest daughter maintained a relatively stable bond with him, while other children experienced more distant or complicated relationships. In some cases, paternity was acknowledged later or under difficult conditions, creating emotional challenges within the family structure. His youngest son developed a notably close relationship with him, often spending time together and sharing personal interests, including sports and entertainment. Nicholson has been described as selectively involved as a parent, maintaining strong connections with some children while remaining distant from others. These dynamics reflect the broader complexity of his personal life, shaped by fame, travel, and unconventional relationships. Over time, his children have taken different paths, with some entering creative industries and others choosing more private lives. Final film years and retreat from Hollywood. Nicholson's later career included fewer film appearances, with his final major movie released in 2010. The project was a commercial and critical disappointment, marking a quiet end to his long cinematic run. Although he was offered additional roles afterward, he chose to step away from acting, declining several high-profile opportunities that could have brought him back to the screen. One potential comeback project generated significant industry interest, but ultimately did not materialize after he withdrew. In the years that followed, Nicholson retreated from public life, spending most of his time at his Beverly Hills residence. He became known for valuing privacy, rarely making public appearances except for occasional events. Reports from acquaintances suggest he remains mentally active and engaged with current affairs, though largely outside the entertainment spotlight. His lifestyle reflects a deliberate shift from global fame to quiet personal comfort. Legacy, reflection, and enduring mystery. Jack Nicholson's legacy stands as one of the most influential in modern cinema, shaped by extraordinary performances, cultural impact, and a life filled with contradictions. He holds records for award nominations and has delivered roles that continue to define entire genres of filmmaking. Beyond his professional achievements, his personal story remains marked by secrecy, revelations, and complex relationships that have fascinated the public for decades. The late discovery of his true family background added a dramatic layer to his life story, reinforcing the sense that his journey has always contained hidden dimensions. Even in retirement, his presence remains significant in film history discussions and popular culture. Nicholson represents a rare combination of artistic brilliance and personal complexity, making his story one of Hollywood's most enduring narratives. His life continues to be examined not only for what he achieved on screen, but for the mysteries and human experiences that shaped him off it.